Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Top 5 Wednesday. The topic for this week is genre benders, so those books that tend to straddle both genres. So this was quite an easy topic for me this week because I do like books that incorporate elements of lots of my favourite genres. I love seeing how authors can marry those totally different elements together to create a great story. So I have just picked 5 of my favourites to share with you today. So the first one I want to talk about is The Disappearances by Emily Bain Murphy. This is a book that I read a couple of months ago, and this is set in the 1940s, and it follows 2 siblings, a brother and a sister, who go back to their mother's hometown. Their mother has died and they are taken in by their mother's childhood best friend, and in this town every 7 years something immaterial goes missing. So it might be something like dreams or reflections, and it transpires that their mother was the prime suspect behind these disappearances because she seems to have been immune to them. And it's just a really lovely, magical story, very, very beautifully written as well, and obviously it has that historical element with the fact that it's set in the 1940s as well, so it's just a lot of very, very lovely things, so I would definitely recommend picking it up. The next one I want to talk about is Garden Spells by Sarah Addison Allen, and this follows a family of women who have a house and a garden in their family, and it's been in their family for hundreds of years, and the woman who is currently living in it at the time of this book, she uses the fruits and the flowers that grow in the garden. They have magical properties as part of her catering business, so everything she makes can make people think and feel certain things and show them secrets and like the visions of the future and stuff like that. And this incorporates so many different genres. It's kind of magical realism, kind of fantasy, kind of romance, kind of family drama. It's so many different things, but it's a really lovely little cozy story, and I think there is either a sequel or a companion book as well that I'd be really interested in picking up. So yeah, definitely recommend Garden Spells. The next one I want to talk about is actually a trilogy of books, and it's one of my favourite series, and that is the Healing Trilogy by Erica Johansson. This is the first book, The Queen of the Tearling, and this again incorporates so much. I'm not going to talk too much about plot because I don't think I could say too much without spoiling something, but it does have a kind of Game of Thrones vibe. It's set in a sort of medieval setting, but it's supposedly set in the future, so it has that sort of futuristic element, but they are kind of living almost like a medieval lifestyle. There is a lot of magic and fantasy elements thrown in there as well. There's also a time travel slant, so there's that whole science fiction element too. It's just so many different things, and it's so intricate and so interesting. So if it sounds like your sort of thing, definitely pick it up. The main character, Kelsey, is one of my favourite female protagonists ever, so yeah, I will definitely recommend the Tearling trilogy. The next one I want to talk about is also a book that I recommend a lot on my channel, and that is It by Stephen King. So obviously this is predominantly a horror, but there are also fantasy and sci-fi elements when you get into Pennywise's origin story, which is incredibly complex and strange. There are also obviously elements of thrillers in there as well, because it is quite psychological at some points. It's quite epic, and it's a big coming of age story as well, which I think you lost quite a bit of in the film. So if you are a fan of the film, either the recent Bill Skarsgård version or the 1990 Tim Curry version, and you haven't read the book, I thoroughly recommend reading the book because it's just a so much more richer and immersive experience. And I will never stop recommending Stephen King books, but certainly I will never stop recommending it as a book. I really recommend that you pick it up because it's just such an amazing, beautiful, epic, terrifying ride. So yeah. And the last one I want to talk about is a very recent read for me, and that is Sleeping Beauties by Stephen and Owen King. And again, this straddles so many genres. In this we are following the action inside a women's prison, and in this world women have started falling asleep, and when they fall asleep they are shrouded in this strange cocoon, and if this cocoon is disturbed in any way, the women wake up and immediately become violent. But there's this woman who has been taken into the prison who who seems to be immune to this curse, and she seems to be a little bit strange. She seems to have some special powers. She seems to be not quite human, and half of the men have decided that she could be the key to getting their women out of this curse, and half of the men want to kill her because they think that it's her fault that it's happened. Unbeknownst to anyone though, the women, when they go to sleep, they have a very, very vivid collective dream where they are all living a very happy, peaceful, men-free life in a sort of parallel universe. So it's just so good. I suppose it's predominantly a mystery, but there are lots of elements of suspense in there. I suppose there is some science fiction, some fantasy, possibly some thriller in there as well, and maybe a little bit of horror. It's just so good. A lovely story. So yeah, definitely recommend picking it up. And that is it for this week's Top 5 Wednesday. What are some of your favourite genre bending books? Please let me know. I will leave all of my social media in the description down below. I hope you're having an awesome day, and I will see you very soon for another video. Bye bye.